This episode of Superconnectivity is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is...
Fill me in, Parrish.
Hey, Phil, glad to have you here. Glad that you fill me in. Phil, you complete me. Okay. Oh. Now, last week, we did not get to a letter we received from our viewer mail, or listener mailbag, from Caleb Van Deren. Caleb, I do apologize for not reading your letter last week. We did have it. We talked about it. We were all set to read it. And then we forgot. Because we are human. We are fallible. Just like that. Just like all the Marvel heroes, we have feet of clay. Okay, so let's read Caleb's letter. I want to start off by saying I found your show a few months ago, and I love it. This has become one of two podcasts I follow religiously, the other being Paper Keg. Look up Paper Keg, kids. Let's get them some cross-traffic. I love the fact that you are genuine fanboys and are extremely knowledgeable. This is a little embarrassing. Charlie especially makes me feel smarter when I listen to him.
Why are you embarrassed? I'm the dumb one.
No, it's embarrassing to have someone say you're... You know what? Let me tell you people something. I'm not that smart. I just fake it real well. No. You speak with confidence. Everyone's, oh, Charlie said it. I guess that's true. You know? There are real nerds that'll put me to shame. You watch. I'm basically a fake fangirl. You know, I couldn't tell you what issue anything happened in. But anyway. Phil, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, no problem. I was waiting for you to run to my defense and build my character up. My character up more. I have such a fragile ego.
Why do I have to defend your character? It's like I said, you're the smart one.
Yes. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to make this podcast. I know it takes time and effort, and I just want you to know it does not go unappreciated. Well, thank you, Caleb. We greatly appreciate your appreciation. Caleb got into comics as a kid. The X-Men animated series hooked me, and soon his dad and him were collecting anything and everything X-Men through most of the 90s. That was the best time to read the X-Men, let me tell you. After a break for a few years, I got back in around 03, 04. I was right back into all the X-Men, but I soon branched out with Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers Disassembled and New Avengers. After another break, I jumped back in about 2 years ago. I don't get to collect monthly anymore due to budgetary restraints. Hey, I feel you, buddy. I recently got married and have a young daughter, and I just can't afford to buy them right now. Preaching to the choir, my friend. I keep up with Marvel Unlimited and the occasional purchase on Comixology. Now, Marvel Unlimited is great if you don't have to be right in the mix of it. Everything gets up there eventually for your $10 a month fee. So, if I did not have to be on top of everything for this podcast, I might consider that. Now it seems that I find certain creators that I will follow, even to characters I had never previously been interested in. Hickman's Marvel work might be my favorite comics ever written. Hey, you and me, Caleb. Hickman. Phil disagrees.
Hit Charlie's sweet spot.
Oh yeah, no, Hickman is my sweet spot. I love that guy. I don't
disagree, but I was gonna say I know you love Hickman stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he was cosmic. I love the cosmic man. Hickman's Marvel work might be my favorite comics ever written. Especially love his Fantastic Four. Other creators and runs I love are as follows: Rick Remender on Kenny X-Force, Captain America on Kenny Avengers, Jason Aaron, Ghost Riders, Wolverine, Weapon X, Wolverine and the X-Men, and Thor, God of Thunder. That was a good series. Bendis, Ultimate, Spider-Man, Avengers, and Daredevil, Mark Waid, Daredevil, and Fantastic Four. Brubaker, Captain America, and Secret Avengers. So knowing this, if there's anything you recommend I should try, please let me know, and I will tell you if I've read them already or not. I'm sorry that this letter is so long, but I could go on and on about comics. I don't really have friends that are into comics like me, so I never get to sit and talk about them. Hey, that's why I got into podcasting, Caleb. Not for nothing. Also, on recent episodes, I heard that you are in the process of going digital and might be giving books away. I also heard you give care packages. What do I have to do to be eligible for these nice gestures? Like I said, I can't collect regular right now without my wife having a breakdown. Yeah, oh, I feel you, buddy. And I don't have any fellow comic reading friends to borrow floppies from, so anything I can get would be much appreciated. Thanks again, Superfan Caleb. Okay, so a couple points to make here. First off, Caleb, if you would like a care package, give us your address. Yes. Provide us with your address, and we will send some fresh to you copies from our ample archives.
I don't know about ample, but yeah.
Well,
no, yeah,
trust me, I got ample.
Well, I was gonna say, if he wants physical copies, yeah, send me your home address, and I'll send a package out. Some old order stuff, maybe one or two newer things. But if you want digital, see Charlie S.
Ixnay on that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, just send us your home address.
Yeah, we'll talk off the air. And as to what you should be reading. Okay, so here are my recommendations to you, Caleb. As we just went into a whole thing about, read Black Panther.
Yes.
Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther, one of the best things on Marvel. If you like Fantastic Four, especially Hickman's Fantastic Four, read The Ultimates. The Ultimates, I'm going to say, is probably the best book if you are of the cosmic mindset. If you are of that Hickman grand scale thing, read The Ultimates. And then, just for fun, if you want another book, if you're looking to add something on a monthly basis, you can't go wrong with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially if you got into comics through the fandom of cross media. It speaks well to the cross media and has some nice bits in it too. But send us your email, send us your home address, and we'll get some stuff out to you. Okay, man? Phil, you got anything to tell Caleb what he should be reading?
I thought of one other book we both enjoy, Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Oh, yeah, that is a great, great book. See, I didn't recommend that because I think that's a very down-to-earth book, and he liked the Hickman. But you know what? He did like Ultimate Spider-Man. So you know what? Maybe that's because I think that's a good parallel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, go get Sam Wilson, Captain America. That's a great book. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, so there you go, Caleb. There's a couple options. Ultimates, Black Panther, Sam Wilson, Captain America. Maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if you're in a fun mood. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm going to be the first to say it may not be everyone's cup of tea. But if you like ancillary, if you like some nice little bit of nerdery, if you'd like to talk comic books with Phil Coulson, that's the place to be. Okay. Moving right along, Phil. Oh, let's see here. What is in the universe today? Man, we're going to do our big Marvelverse DC Suicide Squad podcast tomorrow, so I don't want to get too much into it. And I really want to plug it because I listened to that because I'm going to give you some real deep dive knowledge on Suicide Squad, on what worked and what did not. But I think there's one thing that I want to say here that I think is kind of the takeaway from both Suicide Squad and Superman Dawn of Justice, and Batman, Superman Dawn of Justice, whatever it was called, and then Man of Steel, none of which lost money. And I think this is an interesting point to be made about DC Comics, which is that DC, their characters are more iconic than Marvel's. I think that when you start talking about a Joker, a Batman, and a Superman and a Wonder Woman, I think that you're at a level of iconography that's going to demand attention from people, regardless of the quality. And I do think that's what we're seeing here. I think that is, and I've said this before, I think that was to the detriment. I think that's to the detriment of DC. as I've always said, that Marvel's biggest advantage was that it didn't have its top tier characters when they started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so having to work with lesser known characters led them to make better stories. And I think that DC is stuck with these very well-known characters that people are going to turn out for regardless. So there's less concern about the story. And I think that this is something that we see expressly in Suicide Squad. Because this is my grand unified theory of Suicide Squad was the original idea was to create a Will Smith vehicle. Will Smith is a superstar. He is a well-known box office draw. He is a man who can open a film. This is the man who opened freaking Wild Wild West. And if you want to talk about opening a film that was not particularly good, but made its money back, you got to look at Wild Wild West. And that was Will Smith's film. He walked in, he opened that film. And that's the thing, sometimes these films that are not big successes, I think sometimes they tell you way more about about star power than anything else. And I think, this is what I always say with Lucy and Scarlett Johansson. And honestly, Shelter Half an Entrenching Tool. It has been years since Lucy. Since Scarlett Johansson opened a god-awful film at like $100 million, And that's the Lucy. I don't want to say actually I will say Lucy is it's not a good film. It's not she's fantastic. But the story, it's as muddled. It is as weird as Suicide Squad. I guess it gets some points for trying to be maybe a little more artistic, and I will say it definitely was well edited, and which Suicide Squad was not. But Scarlett Johansson opened that film, dominated that film, ruled that film, established herself as a melon farming movie star, and yet we still don't have a Black Widow film. And you can say, but she was put in everybody else's film and she made everybody else's film better. It's like, yeah, but there should be a Black Widow film. It is pathetic and sad that we have not had a Black Widow film. I don't know who's making that decision at Marvel. I don't know. I don't know if that's Perlmutter. I don't know if that's Feige. I don't know if that's I forget the other guy that's actually the guy that's in charge of television. I don't know who's making that decision, but they are wrong. We should be going into Black Widow 2. We should be anticipating that sometime in 2018. We should not be hoping that sometime after 2020. We should not be hoping for Black Widow 1 in the second Clinton, or I guess technically fourth Clinton administration, the second Hillary Clinton administration. This is just pathetic that Marvel has this superstar who can open a bad film, and they're just letting it sit there. They're leaving that money on the table because they're afraid of a Black Widow film. And I don't even understand that. I cannot, for the life of me, find the depth of that idea. I really can't. I really, really can't. I can only imagine that there is some sort of connectivity issue where they're trying to build out that cinematic universe, and because it's a bunch of white males, right? Well, not all white males, but a bunch of males writing it. No one's thinking, well, how do we make a tent pole around Black Widow? But that's not a good excuse. That is not a good excuse for why there is not a Black Widow film. Scarlett Johansson opens films. She opens films hardcore. And Black Widow is an interesting enough character. You don't have to make her. I don't know what you're going to do in the film, but I guarantee you have Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow on your title card. You're going to make your money back, okay? And there's enough. There are more than enough MacGuffins in the Marvel universe that you can send her to get a MacGuffin. So it is just sad and pathetic that Marvel still has not made the Black Widow film. Hasn't even committed to it yet. That they've committed to Captain Marvel with some other actress before the Black Widow film. And hey, I'm not here to step on Captain Marvel's thunder. I'm not here to step on Brie Larson's thunder. I'm just saying, hey, it's great that we have this and we want this and we're getting this. But you have this movie star who will open a film and a beloved character that she portrays. Yet somehow this 2 + 2 does not equal 4 to Marvel. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Phil, do you have any thoughts on this travesty of justice?
Yeah, it seems weird that they won't give Black Widow her own movie, but I mean they're going ahead with Captain Marvel, so I mean, do you think they wanted a bunch of lead time for their first female-led movie?
Well, I guess if I wanted to break it down, if I wanted to mansplain it, because hey, it's Superconnectivity where Charlie mansplains it all. If I wanted to mansplain it, what I would say is Black Widow is a human-level character. And superheroes need something bigger. Yeah. Because otherwise it's just a ninja flick.
Because they go with that theory, I mean, we're not getting a solo Hawkeye movie either.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, yeah. No offense. No offense. Hey, I love Jeremy Renner as much as anybody. He is the Phil Coulson of superheroes. Jeremy Renner is not opening a film.
Plus we're not even getting a solo Hulk film anymore. I mean, he's just going to be in the next Thor movie.
Yeah, but then again, Hulk has never shown himself to be an opener. I mean, that's the thing of it. It's not that, it's like, oh, well, they're not doing a Hawkeye. Yeah, because Jeremy Renner isn't Scarlett Johansson. They're not doing a Hulk film because, Hulk isn't Black Widow. Black Widow has been consistently singled out as the best part of the Captain America series. She has been consistently, as the actress, singled out as one of the finest actors in Hollywood, let alone the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just in Hollywood. This girl gets the praise. This woman gets the praise. Sorry. Don't want to use the diminutive. It is problematic. Now, again, like I said,
I was going to say, sorry, do you think Marvel's afraid of their own success, where it's like, okay, we have to go bigger and bigger every time, and we can't, shrink back down to this human... I mean, they kind of did it with Ant-Man, but, I mean...
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, not just that. Not just that. They've done 2 Captain America... They've done 3 Captain America films. Mm-hmm. Captain America is a human-level character. And let's face it, Black Widow's got some super soldiering going on with her too.
Yeah,
it is not hard to, it's not hard to go into a super soldiering with Black Widow.
Yeah, but even Captain America, you could say none of his movies he even had a solo movie. In his origin story, it was the Howling Commandos, and the second one it was Falcon and Black Widow, and then everyone was in the third Captain America. Yeah, well, fair, and you know what? I'm going to say that's fine. That's still no excuse to not make Captain America movies. So, fine. Say, okay, Black Widow, and she's going to be paired with Bucky Barnes. She's going to be paired with, Carol Danvers or Sharon Ventura. It's not like Marvel doesn't have a backbench of people that can be the supporting cast. You can throw in Monica Rambeau. You can throw in... you can throw in Captain Marvel. You can throw in people into these storylines to build it out. You can add extra characters to give you that razzle-dazzle. I was going to say, to use all the human characters and make, the Black Widow version of Winter Soldier. Make it, kind of like an origin story, but then, it's mostly set in the present day, and you could throw in, Captain America at certain points, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, but... Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And honestly, it doesn't matter what story you want to tell. There's a lot of stories you could tell. The idea is that you should have had a Black Widow film by now. They should have given Scarlett. They should have recognized what they had in Scarlett Johansson. And I kind of sit here at this point. I'm thinking, has the moment of Black Widow passed? Is that the problem? That they've sat on it too long and they can't make that, or not that they can't, but that
Yeah. Is that the other problem? Is that the problem that they've moved one or two things around, but is the other problem that they schedule these movies like 5 years in advance? So it's like, okay, if we don't think of it now, this movie is not going to get another shot for another 5 years. Yeah, but to that extent, isn't that kind of the problem? We do talk about a lot on this thing about the need for a diversity of voices. Mm-hmm. And granted, I'm the first guy to say, hey, I understand Hollywood's a business. It is show business, not show for fun. And so I get that, hey, you want to see who's established and you want them on your team. So you're going to grab a Joss Whedon. You're going to grab, the guys who did Captain America, Winter Soldier. You're going to grab a Kenneth Branagh, to do a Thor. You're going to bring these guys in. So it's going to be these guys who are already established, so it is a self-replicating problem that, we got these guys and they're the ones in charge. And you can have a big pushed character like Captain Marvel that say, okay, we're going to make our Captain Marvel film. That's our Wonder Woman. We're going to put her in there. In the same way that DC is making their Wonder Woman film. Because, and it's not like they don't have a backbench of female characters that they can put in any of these films that they could have already had in some of these films, for goodness sakes, you had the Nolan Batman and it's just Batman all the time. You eventually got Catwoman in the last one. Sort of. Did they even actually call her Catwoman at any point, or did they just, it's Selena Kyle, she's wearing goggles on her head that sort of look like cat ears. Yeah, so I don't know if they actually called her Catwoman. Yeah.
No, they did. I don't think they did. That's DC for you. Like I said, DC's problem, as I've said, when I already said it, here's what happened with Suicide Squad. They decided to make a film about Will Smith. They got a big started lead. They're going to say, we're going to do a race switch on Deadshot. We're going to make Will Smith be Deadshot. Will Smith is this charismatic, fun guy, but he can go dark. We all saw Hancock. We all saw Hancock. And don't say you didn't see Hancock. You freaking saw Hancock in theater. I know you did. Because it was Will Smith as a superhero being a drunken jerk. And no, Hancock was not the best film ever made. It was not. It was, I'll say Hancock. I liked Hancock. It was like Suicide Squad. It was a film I enjoyed.
I liked the first half of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about Suicide Squad too. But here's the thing, and just to be a social justice warrior here, only people of color die in Suicide Squad. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Everyone who dies is a person of color. To the extent that they actually did a race switch on someone they were going to kill. Slipknot isn't Native American in the comics. That death scene they do there, that is actually straight from the comics. That is exactly pulled fully from the comics. But the fact of the matter is, Slipknot in the comics wasn't a Native American, but they made one, and they walk him in his red shirt. I want to save some of this for tomorrow night, but so the people who die in the film are as follows. Spoilers. People who die in Suicide Squad are Slipknot, Diablo, the Spanish American, Latino. We'll say Latino. They don't never specify. I assume he's Mexican because he's from East LA, but that's an assumption. He could be Guatemalan or any other group, but he is definitely Latino or Latinx, depending on how you want to pronounce it. He's not Latina. He's definitely Latino or Latinx. Diablo dies. Enchantress dies And she is technically South American, even though she's being played by a white woman who does belly dances because magic. And then her brother dies, and who is the body that occupies her brother? A random African American gentleman from the subway. That's who dies. All people of color. And if you're white, you're right. If you're white, you made it through. Now you could say, well, hey, Amanda Waller made it through and so did Deadshot. It's like, yeah, they made it through. They are, of course, the core of the team, you know. And Amanda Waller is black in the comic books. Deadshot's the only guy who got a race switch who actually survived, so thank God for that. But I don't think it's inappropriate to say, you know, that is a little interesting that you made that choice. And again, I don't know if it's necessarily a conscious choice. I do think it's a racist, unconscious choice. I think that it basically
Killer Croc?
Killer Croc. Killer Croc survives.
Yeah.
And we're assuming he's black, although technically he's green. Really, truthfully, Killer Croc is just a guy with a skin disease. They never actually, I think they've made him African American over the years, but in his actual incarnation, he's just a guy with a skin disease. I don't know if they ever actually made a racial statement about him. Certainly in the Batman cartoon, where he first becomes known, he's actually, for lack of a better word, portrayed as a white character with the crocodile disease. Making him a black character with the crocodile disease doesn't necessarily, you know, it's sort of like saying, oh, you know, there were people of color in Guardians of the Galaxy. Gamora. It's like, well, yes, she is a person of color in the fact that she's green, and yes, she's a person of color in the fact that she's played by a person of color. But you know, Nebula is also a person of color in the fact that she's blue. She's not played as a person of color. You know, if all of Gamora's species is green and all of Nebula's species is blue, they're not people of color. That's the color their people are. You know?
Yeah, they're not real colors.
Yeah. Well, not even the real color. It's like if you want to give a statement about what the implication of a character's origins are. You know, it's like this. You can you know, in the actual Kree universe, you know, there are pink-skinned Kree who are the oppressed minority because they are the minority on that planet. You know, you have the blues and you have the pinks. You know, and they've actually touched on this in some books with we know how it's this sort of point of pride to the pinks of Hala that Captain Marvel was a pink. You know, it's sort of these interesting. It's sort of a gag, if you will, for lack of a better word in our world that, hey, if we make a universe where people aren't mostly white, then you can actually tell that oppressed people's story, but still have the character Pat be white in our books. So you can be blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and white, but he's actually from the oppressed minority on his home world. You know, it's. They do this. This is cheap writing, is what it is. And every company does cheap writing. Every company. I think DC does it more, and the reason I think DC does it more is because I think DC has the more popular characters. You know, and I think that you know that is perhaps why DC has more success in their TV universe than Marvel is having in their TV universe, because I think even the lower ranked characters, like a Green Arrow, is more iconic in the Marvel universe than, say, you know, the Byzantine the Byzantine structures of Inhumans. You know, that even when Marvel wants to introduce superhumans, the qualities of those superhumans tend to be less comic booky, if you will. And as a result, it doesn't have that vibe that stuff from the DC universe has. You know, it's always this thing. I do think that it's a reality between the DC and Marvel universe, that the DC universe are golden age books that continued. Marvel are all Silver Age books that sometimes pull up from the Golden Age. But generally speaking, Marvel came into existence in the 60s. DC books are these golden age characters, these comic book characters that have just continued on. And I think because of that, they have this aesthetic that is much more of that 1940s golden age comic book fantasticalness that people love. And that is a huge advantage to DC. And as I've said, it's also their biggest disadvantage because it keeps them from having to write better stories. And I'm glad that Suicide Squad is doing so well. But you know what I think happened with Suicide Squad is I think that maybe someone panicked. I don't know who panicked. And I think someone realized that Deadshot, because he is a Silver Age character for the most part, he does have a Golden Age origin, when he was the first Deadshot. But the Deadshot we're seeing is really the Silver Age Deadshot, even though they are a contiguous character. I think what happened was someone said, oh, wait, Deadshot isn't going to have the draw that a Joker is and a Harley Quinn is. And so they started playing up this Joker Harley Quinn stuff. They started shooting a bunch of stuff for Joker and Harley Quinn. Then someone realized, oh, wait, you can't do a Joker Harley Quinn story in a PG-13 film. Because he's a sociopathic murderer and, abuser and probably a rapist. Probably. I think we can say probably Joker is a rapist. And you can't do that in a PG-13 film. And so then what they did was they toned it down, the Joker story. Because from everything we hear, like, oh no, they shot a bunch of stuff with the Joker where he's all being evil. But they got rid of that because it didn't help the story. But more to the point, and this is the real thing, is more to the point is that it didn't help the overall story of Suicide Squad. I think what the core of that story was supposed to be was the Deadshot story of redemption, of being a villain yet finding his heroic purpose, especially in relation to his daughter. But, they decided that was too much of a story to risk on a movie like this. And I think that is really where DC I think DC underestimates its audience too much. I think Warner's underestimates the people who read comics. And I think that's their problem. But yeah, that's my opinion. Let's get off of this because we are going to talk about this again next week or tomorrow night. So I don't want to get too much into it. So definitely tune into the Marvel vs. DC podcast when we do discuss this. Lilith will not be there, but I think we're getting Zach and Tyler with us.
Yes, and maybe even Tyler's wife Jania. So it might be most of our Legends of DC cast except for Lilith.
And I will say this. My friend's son Jonathan, who really loves Suicide Squad, might want to come in and give his 2 cents too. So if you guys want to hear, a non-fanboy just say, this is what was great. It was guns and shooting and Harley Quinn's butt. Then, hey, you know what? Guns and shooting and Harley Quinn's butt. That's why this film's making $150 million. Not for nothing. Okay. So let's get to we want to wrap this up quick, but I want to get to some actual Marvel news. So let's see what has been revealed. Okay, one reveal recently. They say that the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who we know is being played by the guy who voiced Batman, not Kevin Conroy, but another actor.
I forget his name. He's been doing a lot of the recent Batman animated stuff. Yeah.
He's the other Batman guy. He's the guy. You know what? He is the Batman that the next generation will say, well, that's the voice of Batman. The way that people now say it's Kevin Conroy, that the next, but anyway, but he is, they say he is a character with a history in the Marvel universe. Now, again, I just keep on coming back to Nighthawk, and which makes me think it's probably not going to be Nighthawk. But when they said that he does have this existence, he is this established character, makes me really think that they are going to be exploring some kind of Suicide Squad. Given the Easter egg they gave us with Ida at the end of last season, we got to assume that that's where we're going. Interestingly enough, there was a a clip recently given where we got to see Ghost Rider's lowrider, because of course the Ghost Rider is a lowrider now, not a motorcyclist. But that's okay, because as I said, we're going to tie this all in to a Peggy Carter flashback where she meets G-Man, and that's going to make it all worthwhile. And I want to say that it's Chloe Bennett on top. It might have been Meng Na because it is from a distance, just an attractive woman with dark hair in a black suit, black jumpsuit, jumping on top of the car. It does make me wonder, if it is Meng Na, then that might suggest that, as we suggested, that maybe Quake is making her own team of superhumans. But if it is Quake, it might be an interesting thing, because then what is Quake? What are Quake and Ghost Rider coming into conflict about? And then is Ghost Rider working with the agents? Which might feed into that G-Man legacy. If Peggy Carter worked with G-Man, then maybe that's it. It was also revealed recently that apparently when ABC canceled Peggy and Marvel's Most Wanted, they did so without any consultation with Marvel, but they basically said, no, we're not touching it. It's not what we want to do. It's not the direction we want to go, which is really sad and disappointing. Although they also did make the point recently that no, these characters still exist. They can always come back to these universes, and that's what they said, well, we did write them out, but clearly Hunter and Mockingbird can come back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and probably will at some point. They're saving that for either the mid-season finale or the season finale. One thing that was interesting, and I thought it was an interesting take, and speaking about comic book characters and origins, they're going to be rewriting Captain Marvel's origin, which makes some sense because they're starting her as Captain Marvel. So they really can't make her be Ms. Marvel first. Yeah,
and they probably don't want to explain more. They probably aren't going to have the original Marvel. Do you really think?
Well, I don't know. They might. They might. When they did it in the Avengers, the cartoon, they did have Marvel, but they did have her call herself Captain Marvel. So she did go along with the name right from the start in the Avengers cartoon. But she was also she at the same time she was also she did have a relationship with Captain Marvel. Now they did make this point that, because basically what they said is, well, we don't want to reiterate what has already been done, and they said that her origin, they said it could be too similar to a Green Lantern origin, which I didn't necessarily see. I'd say the Nova Corps is much closer to a Green Lantern origin, but whatever. But they also felt that maybe her story as it existed, maybe looked too close to a Hulk or a Captain America origin. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I do hope they keep the Psychomagnetron in there. I think that if they actually look into it as a wishing device, coming off of the Doctor Strange movie, I think that would work out perfectly. And that is how they present the Psychomagnetron in the current Captain Marvel series. So I think that could work out nicely too. Is there anything else that's going on, Phil, you want to talk about?
No, I don't think there's anything any more news, but I had a thought. I haven't even talked to you about this yet, but listeners, email me directly, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. I have an idea for this podcast. Send me any and all Marvel Comics topics, and we're going to put Charlie Esser on the spot. We'll call it the Charlie Esser's Lightning Round. We'll see what thoughts he comes up with when there's no preparation, when he's put on the spot.
Okay, I got to put some rules on this. Do not ask me an issue. I will answer esoteric questions about comics. Don't get me into what issue did Wolverine first show that he had adamantium claws.
Yeah,
I don't know.
not trivia. More like, okay, what are your thoughts on the Kree Empire? Go. Stuff like that.
I got some thoughts on the Kree Empire. You're going to like them. So yes, so definitely write to nightwingpdp@gmail.com. That's nightwingpdp@gmail.com. Give him your questions, and then Phil me in Parrot will give us the questions. I'll give you the answers.
Either that email or on Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp.
There we go. Well, you want to give your official... I kind of stepped on your social media there. Sorry.
Well, I kind of did. There's the email, the Twitter. Just look for all our podcasts. I'm on Before the Bat, where we discuss Gotham. I've been doing Gamma Cast with Charlie Esser on 80s Reboot Overdrive. And Charlie will be joining me and many others on the new Legends of DC, where we're going to be discussing all the DC CW shows this fall. So keep an eye out for that.
Review. Listen to it. I will have as well.
Yes.
Okay. You can write to me about her activity forward. Oh, and so if you want WordPress. Okay, so if you'd like to write to me about any topics you would like to discuss, you can always do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, you'd like to tweet with me on the Twitters, you can do so at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And Phil, you left off your WordPress.
Oh, yes. You can find all my blogs and my podcasts, including the ones I do with Charlie Esser. I give him credit. I give all my co-hosts credit. You can find everything at philparrott.wordpress.com.
And let me tell you something, folks. If you need something to read Phil. Because the man has some... let me tell you this. I'm an improv artist. I can talk deep stuff right now off the cuff. Phil's a guy, he will write you something that it's going to make you think for a week. So you read up on Phil, because there's a reason this is the guy who fills me in. Just saying that. Okay, kids, thank you for connecting with us. Connect with us again next week. Have a great night.